Sa World Remit, naiintindihan namin ang iyong paglalakbay. Na minsan, kailangan lumayo upang makamit ang tagumpay. With ways to save more, when you send more, World Remit is here for you, so you can be there for them.
Spoon and rice, this is really, as I've said, the most authentic place to come for Filipino street food, spoon and rice. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Pusong Pinoy with Malcolm Conlon. We're now on episode 2 of the 6th series, and we're really excited to join you guys here live today. We have an absolutely awesome episode today. We're going to be meeting the Philippine Nurses Association UK, my dear friends from that organization, and we're going to be covering the topic of mental health. We're also going to meet Myca Winmill, who's a TikTok sensation, really, and she also focuses on mental health and supporting people through this pandemic via these awesome animations, Pinoy talent at its finest. Without much further ado, I'd like to introduce you to my co-host, live and direct from Cebu, Philippines, Joshua De Batos.
Hey Mal and everybody, maayong gabi and good afternoon to everyone in the UK. It's the 30th of May, the second episode of our 6th series. And we're now down to the last 6 months of the year. It's just really fast. We're experiencing post-summer now. We're having so many rains here in Cebu. And yes, Mal, we will talk about mental health, and this is just very timely because we're now into on our second year into this pandemic, and there's a lot of things going on. And let's do a quick temp check on how we are doing with our mental health, and we will be talking with our friends from the Philippine Nurses Association. So how are you doing, Mal?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm trying to sort of, as I said, I'm wearing my Pinoy jacket, trying to get some pictures up and trying to really kind of, if you like, I'm looking forward to the future of this series. We've had 6 series now, and I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful to World Remit and, of course, Spoon and Rice and Comfort Healthcare for their support and their continued belief in what we're doing. And I'm also very grateful to you as well, Joshua. For the last couple of series, you've been joining us every single week, and I'm really grateful for your commitment as well.
Such an honor, and I'm enjoying the show. And so far, we're getting good feedback from our audiences. And right now, we have a lot of audiences tuned in, mostly from the Philippine Nurses Association. So, just want to greet them a happy Sunday, and this will be a good conversation for the next 60 minutes that you will be a part of.
Awesome. So let's go ahead and let's meet the Philippine Nurses Association UK. I'd like to introduce everybody to my dear friend, Dennis Sing-Song, who is a mental health nurse specialist. But not only that, he's involved with the Philippine Nurses Association UK, vice chair of the organization. And I'd also like to bring on Charisse Mello, but let me go ahead and let me ask Dennis to introduce her, if you could go ahead and do that.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this afternoon. I would like to introduce to you my colleague from the Philippine Nurses Association UK, one of our core committee members, a competent and compassionate nurse working at Luton and Dunstable, Charisse. Say hi, Charisse.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for this invitation, Josh and Malcolm. It's been a privilege for us to talk about our Philippine Nurses Association UK. As you know, we still are gathering members, and we're currently inviting everyone, actually, Filipino nurses, especially those ones who just came over for us to get to by them, to get to know by them. And I hope this channel would help us as well in promoting that. And yeah, so thank
We,
you.
we were we were also going to be joined by Jose Batalla, but unfortunately he can't make it today. And I'm sure he's very, very busy. I know you guys work incredibly hard, and I think he was called upon at the last minute. But even so, it's going to be a great pleasure to be able to speak to you guys about our topic of the day, if you like, and that's mental health and how people have managed through the pandemic. Moving over to you, Dennis, first, I just wanted to ask you a little bit more about the Philippine Nurses Association and, of course, how the Philippine Nurses Association UK has been supporting our Philippine nurses here, not only in the United Kingdom, but also in the wider world.
Okay. The Philippine Nurses Association UK was established quite a while back, actually. It was in 2003. But obviously, the most recent pandemic, the one, when we experienced this last year, um, allowed the resurgence of it and allowed us to become more active in engaging and reaching out to fellow Philippine healthcare workers in the UK. So it's not just nurses. One of our core committee members is also a midwife, and she had been helping us as well to reach out to midwives who are originally from the Philippines who are working in the UK. And we've had a lot of projects over the past year. We've had the World Cafe Congress that we held in December, attended by a lot of healthcare workers, not just qualified nurses from all over the world, a lot from the Philippines and also from the Middle East, Australia, and the US. We are operating separately from the Philippine Nurses Association in the Philippines, but we still have strong linkages with them alongside other Philippine Nurses Associations all over the world, in America and Canada and the Middle East. So, yeah, a lot of projects coming up. You mentioned, Malcolm, about us needing to focus on mental health this afternoon, and I think that's really important and that's really timely. We in the within Philippine Nurses Association also acknowledges that. So I can just see the photo being shown now. So we have been focused. Our activities the last few months have mostly been doing webinars to further highlight that. So we're wanting healthcare workers to build their psychological resilience, because we know that although everything has laxed now in the last few weeks, it's not the end just yet. So we still have a lot of hurdles to go through.
Completely. I'm sure Joshua would also like to give his also, if you like, support for you guys and your organization as well. Joshua, it's over to you.
Yeah, definitely. And thanks so much for sharing that, Dennis. And for sure, there's a lot of Filipino nurses who just moved into the UK who would like to be part of the organization. Just a little background of how big the Philippine Nurses Association is since the time of its founding. How big is it now
Well,
in the UK?
what Philippine? I mean, I think from the most recent census or survey, I think Philippine healthcare workers who work within the NHS and social care and private sectors, I think there's about 20,000 registered healthcare workers. Philippine Nurses Association has about 10,000 followers and active members within the UK.
That's really good. At least,
And
Mal.
yeah, and yeah,
Sorry, go
carry on.
ahead.
Sorry, Josh. No,
Yeah,
it's
that's
just I just thought you mentioned about newly arrived nurses, and that's one of our main focus as well in terms of our activities. We held almost two weekly in the Philippines. We say every other week, every other weekend of welcome to the UK webinars for newly arrived nurses, just so that they can be made aware of what to expect when they arrive here.
I think that's very, very important. I know Manon George as well. I know he has a YouTube kind of
Yeah.
channel, and he explains practical things like accommodation, like,
Hmm.
how to link in with others. Because, of course, covering again on the subject of mental health, again, I'm not going to hark on about the NHS and the 1% pay rise. But the fact is, if you're only having difficulties in terms of financially, as everybody knows, settling in London particularly is very, very expensive. And the question is,
Hmm.
what money is left over for entertainment? What are the practicalities? And I know that Manon George would cover a lot of work on that in terms of showing nurses what's available, where they can stay, and so on. I think that's very, very important because, of course, all of these things also have an impact on mental health. I'm sure you'd both agree.
Hmm. Yeah, and as you know, Manong George is also a core committee member of Philippine Nurses Association. So we actually do partner up with our Welcome to the UK webinar with Manong George, which is really good because we meet a lot of newly arrived nurses, and I think it's really crucial now once they arrive in a different country, so different from what it's like in the Philippines, for them to become aware and for them to know that they can reach out to the association if and when they need any kind of support.
That's good, and especially with the current pandemic, like being in a new country, being in a new environment is challenging. Much more when you move into a new country during a pandemic. And a good thing that you guys are there to support the community of Filipino nurses. So right now,
We can only
with
try, Josh.
I betcha. So with the current situation, I know it's been very challenging for you guys in the UK, and especially the Filipino nurses. How are you coping, and what does NHA have actually been doing so far to support our community or our Filipino nurses with this current pandemic?
So so basically, we when regards to the collaboration and networking, um, I can talk about the Philippine, the PNA UK, what we've been doing so far. Um, so very recently, we have been representing the Filipino nurses' voice on the national committee. To mention a few bits are the International Nursing Diaspora Network, which we actually being represented by our vice chair and our chairman, and the NHSEI retention program, the NHSEI well-being, and the collaborating at the moment with the Southeast London ICS in providing psychological support to nursing workforce. And also very recently, we have been incorporating or collaborating and slash networking with the trust by including in the Philippine Nurses Association. For example, we have done this work with my own very trust, the Lieutenant Dunstable, where we managed to put an access link to the staff under the umbrella of the BAME. I'm not sure how you've heard about the BAME, where each trust has been very much into opening up this networking with different nurses of different nationalities. So that's one good achievement for us, for them to know that we are there and we are ready to support and we are open to support the Filipino nurses. Um, Everyone, I mean, like old and new. So far, we've been on that.
That's really, really important. I think you guys are doing such fantastic work, and I know the NHS has really got Philippine nurses on the radar. I've been hearing a lot of that recently in terms of Philippine nurses getting much more senior positions within the NHS. We mustn't forget the first Philippine nurses probably came over almost 3 decades ago. To give some of our viewers a bit of a history, in the UK, we used to have this old style of nursing school. So you'd have the matron, you would live on site, live on campus. And what's basically happened is over the years, we've gone on to this kind of university degree, and maybe some of the old style hands-on training of nurses and sort of experience of nurses has slightly changed. So my opinion is when a lot of these UK nurses, British nurses started to retire, there was a massive call for nurses from the Philippines. And a lot of these nurses from the Philippines maybe just started off on the ward in kind of maybe junior positions. But now, of course, if you look at practically every hospital in London and mainly around the UK, you'll have your Philippine nurses as sisters, ward managers, very, very senior positions. And what I find is also a bit ironic is that the Philippine nurses are coming over and they're training our own British nurses and back the, if you like, traditional values of nursing. And I think that's absolutely awesome. I think it's come in full circle. So I have to say, over the last 3 decades, Philippine nurses have really played an integral part in our NHS. And as you say, there are more than 20,000 Philippine nurses. And of course, there are other nationalities. I believe it's in the list, it might be Indian nurses first, or also second, Indian nurses, and third nurses are Philippine nurses. I don't want to break it down into nationalities so much, but the point that I have here is that some people may be a bit racist, saying we don't need Philippine nurses, we don't need foreign nurses. But the fact is, we need nurses from all countries, and our wonderful NHS is made up by people from across the world. And that's why I think it's so special. And I know Philippine nurses have played such an important part in that, as I'm sure you would all agree.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the thing, isn't it? England has become a melting pot of all these really qualified and trained from highly standardized care from whichever country they come from. And of course, when we arrive here in the country anyway, or even before we are offered a job in the UK, we also all had to pass several examinations. So to make sure that whatever standards or quality of education we have from our home countries surpasses or equals what is being done here in the UK. And
Quite right. And I know it's IELTS
Mhm.
level 7, which I believe is very, very
Yeah.
difficult to achieve, which means that the proficiency of English is very, very high amongst Philippine nurses, which I think is
Mhm.
absolutely awesome. If you're dealing with a patient, you need to be able to understand them, even the slang words. And maybe you're doing some work in that area for our newly qualified Philippine nurses or ones that come over to the country.
That's really true. I mean, you know what? Whenever we do the Welcome to the UK webinar, there's a specific portion in there where we talk about slang words that we've never used in the Philippines. And although, obviously, as you said, Filipino nurses are highly proficient in speaking in English. I mean, I think we're morely used to American English rather than British English. So we try and copy how Harry Potter would pronounce words, but that's just how it is. So with the Welcome to the UK webinar, we talk about those things, spending a penny and
Idiomatic
similar
expression.
things. Yeah, those expressions that we
Mm.
don't usually use.
And draw the curtain. So, of course, if you were actually going to be, I've heard of
Sure.
maybe a Filipino actually trying to draw a picture of the curtains or
Give me
run
a
to
pen
the
and
car.
paper.
Anyway, so very briefly, I wanted to cover one thing, and that's during the pandemic. I work in the hospital environment myself, and sometimes when you're dealing with patients, you have to wear these. I think they're called FP3 masks, the big heavy masks. And actually, I've got to be
Mhm.
honest, I struggled wearing them for about 15 minutes. So imagine you're working in intensive care and you have to wear a very heavy duty mask. on a 12-hour shift, and of course all the personal protective equipment that's incredibly hot, incredibly difficult to do. And it makes me think about the mental health of the nurses, and of course all the ghastly sights that they have to deal with as well. Obviously regular deaths in terms of COVID and everything else, and being the only person who would see the patient at the bedside, because of course relatives weren't even allowed to visit, and perhaps are still not. And I'm sure, Dennis, this has had a massive impact on the health of our colleagues, as well as obviously in general with members of the public.
Mhm. Yeah, that's why we also recognize that within PNA UK, and obviously the first few months of the pandemic happening, we've mostly been concerned about, the physical side of it, because obviously we were still trying to understand what was going on and how we can address all those clinical problems. But the last few months, PNA UK had been focusing mostly on how we can support each other and support Philippine healthcare workers and other colleagues as well in terms of our mental health. The last we've been having a psychological resilience webinar. I mean, in March we focused on sleep hygiene, and last April we focused on the importance of improving and increasing your exercise and activity. And next month we'll be talking about healthy eating, which we
Healthy
all
eating.
know we all should should think about, Malcolm, isn't it?
A subject close to my heart, my fascination with Jollibee. No. I think I've got to be honest. I think, as you guys know, I promote Philippine culture. And a bit of a completely sidetrack here, speaking about Jollibee. I think the thing is, they invoke childhood memories for Filipinos. I know back home in the Philippines, people maybe couldn't afford to go to McDonald's to eat, or maybe some of the other food chains. So Jollibee was so much more of a local establishment. And I think what we can't forget is that sometimes mental health and eating are very much connected. Maybe for Filipinos who
Oh
maybe
yeah.
can't go back home, maybe those who are TNT, they'll walk into Jollibee and it will remind them of home. So you're right on the healthy eating. And I know the government is also addressing healthy eating as well. But an occasional trip to Jollibee makes me remember home. And I'm sure you both understand my sentiments.
Oh, that's definitely
Yeah,
true.
it's
It's
true,
just a healthy
definitely.
balance as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yes.
And
exactly
comfort.
right. And I'm not very good at that at the moment, unfortunately, I must confess. But seriously, eating of food and mental health are very much linked. I'm sure you can maybe explain that, please, Dennis, and elaborate on that.
That's the thing, isn't it? I mean, being away from your family. I mean, it was really hard years ago when I just arrived in the country, because there weren't a lot of places that we can go to that we can buy similar or usual Asian or Philippine products, but they're everywhere now, which is really good for us. In the same way that we now have Jollibee in London. So, I mean, you should know by now, Malcolm, Philippines like our parties. So that's also one of the reasons why the pandemic hit us a lot. So any excuse, we'll throw a party or a barbecue or a karaoke, because it allows us to bond with each other. It allows us to remind us of how it was like when we were still living back home in the Philippines and being close to family and friends. So yeah, there's always a connection. I mean, who hasn't most of my British counterparts and colleagues have tried and tasted my adobo and pancit. So, and I'm sure I'm not the
Well,
only one who's done that. So I'm sure everybody else has done that as well. So the emotion and food and psychological connections to it are always linked.
yeah, completely right. It's been absolutely awesome talking to you guys. It really, really has. And I appreciate you taking the time to reach out to be part of the show. Can you let me know how people can join the Philippine Nurses Association UK? Let us know about your social media, your upcoming activities, please.
Yeah, upcoming activities. We still do our Welcome to the UK webinars almost every other weekend. I mean, if there's more people coming, we always welcome to do more if needed. One of the plans that we're hoping to do as well is that we are also in the process of organizing webinars in helping newly arrived nurses to pass their OSCEs, the Objective Structured Clinical Examination, which is also really important. The Philippine Nurses Association UK have also been recently been successful in receiving a grant from Florence Nightingale Foundation. So we will be using that money to provide more service to our Filipino colleagues. We will have our second World Cafe Congress in October. Mal, you were part of the first one, so you need to be part of the second one as well. So for Philippine nurses working in the UK and even working in the Philippines still who would like to take part and again join the research program and the competition. Last time we had 4 people who won amongst hundreds of registrants and competition qualifiers. So keep an eye out for that. We have social media accounts on Facebook, Twitter, and we also have a website. So just check it all out. Oh, thanks for doing that. So those are the address. So for you to be regularly updated, please come and visit us, reach out, send us a message, and we'll make sure that we respond to it in as soon as possible. Thank you for having us, Mal.
Any questions from you, Joshua?
All covered, Mal, and thank you so much for guesting here today, Dennis and
Maayong
Ferdy.
gabi, mga taga Cebu.
Yes, Mayang Gabi, taga Cebu, and you're also from Cebu, right, Dennis?
No.
My mom is from Pardo, so yeah, I've been to Cebu a few times when I was younger. Although the last time was been about 3 years ago. It was always a pleasant experience.
That's good. So definitely looking forward to you being home. It's very soon.
We're going to be taking
Come and visit you, Josh.
Definitely.
We're going to be taking a break, but before we do take a break, I'm sure you guys know our next guest, Myca Winmill, is really an advocate for mental health herself because she has this animation which basically reaches out to people. She has more than a million followers, and her posts have been liked more than 25 million times. And I'm sure that's absolutely awesome. I'm sure you guys from PNA would like to encourage her in what she's doing as well.
Awesome. We need to collaborate with her.
That would be. I was just thinking that myself. If she could do something for the PNA or for nurses, that would be absolutely awesome. She's our next guest, and maybe you can touch base with her as well through our channel. I think that's. And she's just said, of course, she's really looking forward to that as well, which is absolutely awesome. I think it's really nice, to help people through this pandemic by focusing on social media. I know Filipinos have got a big love of TikTok as well, and I think she's doing some amazing work. And I think it's also good that young people are doing so much as well, particularly from the Philippines, to be able to help out with what's going on right now. I think that's, and also representing the country as well.
We'll be
Every
looking
little
forward
helps,
to
Mark.
that.
Right on.
Awesome.
Right on.
Well, thank you
So
very
we'll be-
much. We're about to,
Yeah,
Go
we'll
ahead,
be
Joshua.
back. All right.
Thanks,
So
guys.
for those
Thank you.
from the PNA who are tuned in today, feel free to share the video, the live stream right now. So we'll be right back after a few adverts.
Sa World Remit, naiintindihan namin ang iyong paglalakbay. Na minsan, kailangan lumayo upang makamit ang tagumpay. With ways to save more, when you send more, World Remit is here for you, so you can be there for them.
Spoon and rice, this is really, as I've said, the most authentic place to come for Filipino street food, spoon and rice.
Hey Mal, and we're still live here at Pusong Pinoy with Malcolm Conlan, and this second part of this episode is very exciting, supporting the Philippine Nurses Association in really making sure that we look after the mental health of our Filipino nurses in the UK. We also have Myca Winmill in the show, who will be sharing with us her creations and how she is inspired in making these TikTok videos and animations in support of the mental health as well of everyone right in this current pandemic. So let's put into the show, into the live stream, Myca Winmill. Hello, Myca.
Hi, you okay?
Oh, good. Oh, good. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks.
All right, that's really good. And talking about TikTok, and a lot of people are now on TikTok just to go on their let's say breaks or just a favorite pastime for most.
Yeah.
How and when did you start with your TikTok videos?
So I started in February, so that's quite a few months ago now. And I think that obviously I saw, because of the pandemic, a lot of people, they needed that support because obviously mental health was kicking in and it's just something that's hard to handle alone. So I thought by having a TikTok account that can make everyone feel included will just be like really helpful for them people. So yeah, that's why I started. I enjoy helping people because it's what they deserve.
That's a very good advocacy you have there, Myca. And just right before we jump into the next set of questions, just really early at this point, maybe you can share your TikTok handle just for those who are curious to know what your TikTok videos look like. You can also share that. So how do they access your TikTok page?
Oh, so my TikTok page is about like mental health, and it's just animations which express all the mental health issues. And again, it's just to make people feel less alone. And I help people. I give them tips on how to battle things, and it's just lots of help. So they're all of my social media platforms and stuff. So yeah, I'm available on all of them. So if you want to like message me or anything, I'll be there and I will get to you as soon as possible.
Well, there you go. So just feel free to follow and go into those social media handles. So Mal, really good to have Myca on the show.
It's absolutely awesome. You know, I've got to be honest, I'm not massively into TikTok. I tried a few TikTok videos, but I kind of failed miserably. I've got to say, you know, I don't dance, I don't sing, and I thought it was all about that. But strangely enough, it's not. I think it's very, very clever how you've used your animations to be able to support people. I watched all of your animations, in fact. And you know, your first one, it isn't the case you suddenly got millions of followers. How did your journey start, and when did you notice this was really growing and this was going to be a big thing?
So I generally like art. I love like being creative. So that first post, to be honest, I wasn't expecting it to like blow up like that quickly, because within like the first couple of hours, like all of the views and the likes started coming in. But the sort of concept was my mum and just how she supports me. And I just wanted to like, first of all, get that across that like people are there for you. For example, your parents, your family, your friends, and you can reach out to them. So yeah, that was the concept of that video. And the likes and stuff, they started flooding in really quickly, which is surprising. And things started from there.
I think it's so important. You know, in terms of the Philippines, have you been home to the Philippines? How many times have you been there? Have your family taken you to the Philippines?
Yeah, I have been to the Philippines a couple of times. I think I've been there like 4, 5 times. I can't remember.
Oh, about the same as my children as well. When they were younger, they've both been back home 4 or 5 times. And I'm sure you've got followers from the Philippines. What can you say to them in terms of reaching out to them as well, and maybe supporting them during this pandemic as well?
Well, I think that, you know, I just want to get to them, like they're not alone, and everyone's able to reach out to anyone, and don't be afraid to reach out about your mental health. If you're feeling sad, then reach out to someone. Don't hold anything in. And like to all of my supporters in the Philippines and everyone who follows me, I'm really appreciative. And shout out to my family back in the Philippines as well. I miss them so much, and it'd be so great to go back there. again, see them all.
Josh,
That's
over
really
to you.
And right now, like with your followers, for the many followers that you've had, for sure there's a lot of those who would be very interested in doing collaborations with you. And earlier in the conversation, we talked about the PNA doing collaborations with you, but have you already done collaborations before?
I haven't done any collaborations yet, but it would be amazing to collaborate with them. So.
That's
Or even
really
with
good.
me
And
for my show. I think it's cool what you do. It's really
sure.
crazy. I'm really a big fan.
Mal could do some sing and dance perhaps.
Maybe not.
with with
No,
Jollibee.
seriously. Having known myself, because I wrote some open letters. I used to write open letters supporting the Philippines, and the first one was supporting the Miss World, the Philippine candidate. And it's really crazy, you know, when you start to get these messages, when you start to get these likes, it's very hard to describe that feeling. Go through that time when all of a sudden you start getting these thousands of likes. How did that feel, and what did that make you sort of want to do? Did you want to do more? Well, you could tell us about that.
Well, I think I just had to take a lot of advantage of it from it, because if you have that platform, you need to make sure that you do something with it, you do something good with it. So I've said before that I wanted to, if this continues, which I want it to continue, I'll start making money from it and helping charities, helping the Philippines, trying to get as many people involved and just spread as much awareness for mental health.
I heard you say that as well. You want to help the Philippines, and that's pretty awesome because, you know, we're quite fortunate here that we do have the NHS, and although perhaps there isn't so much support in mental health as there is in other areas, you know, we do have the NHS here. But in the Philippines, you know, it's a really massive issue. And not only that, I'm not going to mention about face shields, but I understand at some stage everyone needs to wear their masks, they need to wear their face shields. They're still going through the thick of it. That can be really difficult, Josh, on people's mental health, and I'm sure you would agree.
Yep, definitely. And with just the challenge of having to keep up with wearing that would be very challenging, especially if you go into areas such as the Philippines, such as here in the Philippines, it gets really humid and really hot. That would be very challenging. Now, like say talking about being in social media, you've had a lot of likers and a lot of followers. There can also be some bashers, so to say. Have you encountered such let's say critics? I must say, in your TikTok or other social media.
Well, there is for example, in the comments, there's a lot of people commenting and stuff. I don't come across that many hate comments or anything. But any that I've missed, I know to just ignore what they have to say. And I know that there's more people who support me and that love me than people who dislike the account or don't support any of that. So yeah.
That's awesome. You have a really positive attitude, and I'm sure you have very supportive family as well. And I think that makes a massive difference, doesn't it? If you have a supportive family as well, and I'm sure you would agree.
Yeah, 100%. They're very loving, and they've helped me through the account, and they've been very supportive with the account.
I know you're also very busy. I know you've done some modeling, and I saw this video of you where you were going up on the escalator. You got to the top of the escalator, and there was your own poster. How did that feel?
Well, yeah, that was a really amazing experience because obviously I'd never had that opportunity before in New Look. So yeah, that was really fun. I took pictures with it. And stuff, and it was really nice to see that.
But that's awesome. You know, I think it's brilliant. I'm really pleased about what you're doing, and it's awesome that you're also Pinoy as well. You know, we're going to take a quick break right now. When we come back, we're going to focus on some of your art, which I think is absolutely brilliant. I'm such a fan of what you're doing, particularly with mental health. So we'll be right back for our final part of Pusong Pinoy with Malcolm Conlon.
Not my teeth, my feet really hurt.
Sa World Remit, naiintindihan namin ang iyong paglalakbay. Na minsan, kailangan lumayo upang makamit ang tagumpay. With ways to save more, when you send more, World Remit is here for you, so you can be there for them.
Spoon and rice, this is really, as I've said, the most authentic place to come for Filipino street food. Spoon and rice.
And we are still live, Mal. Welcome back to the show.
I was just reflecting on some of the work that Myca does in terms of her art, and we're going to join her back on the screen now. But there's a particular work of art that you have of the beetle, which I think is extraordinary with the detail and everything else. I know it's one of your favorite pieces. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
So I have a variety of favorite pieces, but a lot of them are like portraits and faces. So I think I just really enjoy like drawing the facial structure and stuff, because I don't know, it's so fascinating, and I love like continue to draw it because I just get to improve more and more each time I paint, I use pencil. So yeah, that's where like I've always loved drawing like since I was very small. So yeah.
You need to do something with that. A lot of people, maybe when they're younger, they might do singing, they might do dancing, but then they go on to do some random job like an accountant or a banker or something like that. I really do see you maybe as a Disney animator or something like that. Is that something that you wanted to get into, or filmmaking? Because you have this awesome skill.
Yeah, I've actually considered doing like cartoon work or being a cartoonist when I'm older, or just working in that like industry, like you said, Disney. That would be really cool to work.
There are some very famous Pinoy animators. You may remember the Christmas with Love from Disney. I'm sure you saw it, which was incredible. And I know there's somebody very senior in Disney who's also Filipino who was involved with that. And I think it's really nice, isn't it? I think a lot of it is about invoking memories from home, and maybe that's something that you could also maybe focus on. I'd pretty much be awesome if you could maybe do something for our show, do something for the PNA. You might even get some paid work as well in terms of commercially, because there's a lot of people out there maybe with YouTube channels. I know you're trying to make money for this to help charity, but I'm sure there's some commercial value in what you do as well.
Yeah. That would be really cool to like have actual, I don't know, like what for making money or working with other people to show the meaning of the art. And like you said, memory with family back home. That would be really cool to like represent that.
Josh, any more questions?
Yeah. Yeah, and that talent that you're sharing to the rest of the world through TikTok is very very valuable, and for sure you've devoted so much time in it. And right now, Mal, we've also have a lot of viewers really commenting and really sending greetings to Mike and to everyone who's tuned in as well. We have viewers who are from Pampanga and from Japan who are wishing Jollibee could wishing to have Jollibee here too in Japan. It's out of context, but it's really good that we are talking about having Filipino connections all around the world, and especially with TikTok being there. And we also have we still have Joshua Bundia tuned in, Mal.
Yeah, awesome. Greetings to Joshua. Also, greetings to Irene. Thanks also to everyone from the Philippine Nurses Association, to Rudy, who says, Happy Good Day Sunday, Sir Malcolm. I couldn't quite read that. We're going to flash that back on from Rudy, hopefully. Happy Good Sunday, Malcolm. Sir, new look, Joshua. Yeah, I like Joshua's new look. It's really cool. And all special guests and all the viewers from Belfast. So Rudy's daughter Mia is a singer-songwriter as well, and she's written some awesome songs, and she's featured on our show before. It just really, I just love it so much that we have some really, really talented, not just Filipino. I know you're mixed as well, but I mean like that Filipino talent. But in terms of you, where did your art, everyone's got like it's within their genes, like music and stuff. Where did your sort of art come from? Is there any art within your family?
Yeah, my sister, at Michelle, she's actually really good at art. I've always been inspired by her. But yeah, a lot of people in my family, like my brother, my sister, they all enjoy art a lot as well. So that's really good.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And what are your future plans, by the way?
Um, I don't really know what I want to be when I'm older, to be honest. I would like to be a teacher, but I feel like it could change. I don't really know what my plans are for the future yet.
That's absolutely awesome, you know, and maybe when you go to university, maybe you could take a gap year, maybe even in the Philippines, or maybe do something. Now, I'm really positive about your future, and I'm very, very grateful that you took the time to be on our show as well. And, you know, you got to teach us guys how to do TikTok, because we're really not into TikTok. But I think it's really, really cool what you're doing, inspiring so many people as well. Okay, so we're now going to get to see, hopefully, a little bit about your animations. Oh wow, it's just incredible. Is this kind of this is it? Wow, it's just incredible. Like, what gives you the inspiration? And look at all the comments as well. You know, it's really awesome. And you've got like over 1 million followers. That's just so incredible. And I'd like to thank Carol Pandai as well for her show, because I know you did this a lot of these videos for her show as well. But thanks so much anyway, and just tell us if you've got any ideas in terms of future animations. Are you still working on it? Are you focusing on other things?
So with my TikTok, I have other things to like focus on because I have my mock exams coming up in a week. So I am gonna slow down the posting for now, and I'll let my followers know very soon that I'm just gonna be like slowing down with the posting and things.
Keeping in touch is very, very important, because I have my YouTube channel. I've got to be honest, when I didn't post so often, you very quickly moved down the rankings. It's this hidden thing on YouTube where if you're posting regularly, you get in the recommendations. But if
Yeah.
you slow down, you don't get in the recommendations so much. But I think keeping people updated, or almost having a schedule, is what people look forward to. And I'm sure you'll also agree, Joshua.
Yep, definitely making you be in the loop for all of the updates as well. Now, Mal, I actually was very curious to know, like knowing Myca is in TikTok. You also have followed quite a few TikTok influencers, so to say. Who's the most, let's say, your most favorite TikTok influencer?
I'm not really sure. Could I quickly just check? Like,
For sure, for sure. So,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, go ahead.
how about you, Mal? I know that you're not really into TikTok, but have you scrolled through and do you have your follower? I mean, do you have some favorites already?
Well, in terms of, I'm not really into TikTok, but I know I'm kind of probably quite big on Instagram, and I'm very, very grateful to have a lot of celebrity followers as well. You know, it's something that I'm really passionate about in terms of reaching out to people. And I'm passionate about Philippine culture as well. And I think it's so important. And I think if you are out there, if you are making an impact, you can help others, maybe in terms of mental health. You know, I've got to be honest that the social media helps me in terms of my own personal mental health, because I know that you get, if you're able to help somebody, a lot of people write to me from the Philippines, and I think if you can help other people, then you feel better about yourself. And I think if you know you're
Sure.
making a difference, that could help your own personal mental health. And I know you'd probably agree, Myca.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again. Can you remind people of your social media channels, how they can reach you? That would be awesome.
Yeah, and before I do that, thank you so much for having me as well. It's been it's been a pleasure just, talking about this important subject. So
Thank you. And thank you on behalf of everybody watching, but also thank you as well for obviously shouting out the Philippines. And I know your connection with the country. We even had a NASA engineer on a couple of weeks ago. It's really incredible. There are so many amazing people coming who've got some Philippine heritage. And I'm sure you're very proud of your Philippine heritage as well.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Awesome. Joshua, any words from you?
Yeah, very honored to have you, Myca, and the rest of the Filipino talents to be in the show. And my lingering question was, who was your favorite TikTok?
So I was just scrolling through through my following, and I can't actually find them, but there's an art account that I really like. They're verified, but they do realistic drawings. They're so good, and they're really inspiring. But I'm always watching their videos. They're really good.
And do they follow you as well?
Sorry?
Do they follow you as well?
No, they don't.
Oh, have you got any like famous followers? Any kind of like celebs
Yeah.
or anything?
Yeah, I actually am friends with a few influencers, which is really cool.
Awesome. I was able to go over to Jollibee for their recent opening in Leicester Square. I don't know if you've had the chance to go there yet, but it was like a blogger's day, and there were other YouTube influencers, and there was another TikToker who had like 2 million followers. And he told me you don't need to even sing or dance, and you just need to say Filipino words. But I'm yet to kind of get there in TikTok. But I do think it's amazing once again what you're doing. I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank your family as well for their support and also allowing you to be part of this show. You know, I know you've inspired many people, and I'd like to say thank you. Maraming salamat.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a pleasure being here on this live.
Thanks. Joshua, thanks.
Thank you so much, Myca, and such an honor to have you on the show. See you again soon with your future creations, and I'm so excited for you as you go into the journey that you are in. And I know school's challenging in the next couple of weeks, so wish you all the best for that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, take care, guys.
Thanks. Take care. Goodbye. Awesome. Brilliant. I'm so pleased that we had the opportunity to focus on mental health during this episode. And of course, to talk to the Philippine Nurses Association and their fantastic work, as well as new nurses coming over to the country. But of course, mental health is such a key issue during the pandemic. And I love to see also the work that Myca's doing, you know, to inspire people. That's so important.
Exactly. And I know everyone's facing different challenges, mental, physical, and all the other challenges that's brought to us by the pandemic that we are in. And just very good to have this episode today, Mal. And I know you've been through a lot as well, and keeping up to these challenges might be very, very difficult. So really good to have that in this episode.
Awesome. You know, as most people know, my mom's not very well. She's in hospital. She comes out of hospital next week. So that's something for me to focus on as well. And of course, we've all got our own jobs, our own personal life. But having this show, I think, is absolutely awesome. And I thought about this morning. It's kind of crazy that we're going out live. You know, you don't know if there's going to be a mistake, if there's going to be a wrong cue or something like that. And I think it's pretty awesome now. I think we've done this now for quite a while. So we've probably better at it. I know I have another live show that I'm doing later on. I'm being interviewed in a 2-hour show. And of course, before we go, it's our 23rd wedding anniversary, myself and my wife. So I'm just pretty awesome.
Happy anniversary.
Thanks so much. You know, it's a long time. She'll kill me if she watches this. Anyway, Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Joshua, over to you. Any final words?
Yes, thank you so much for tuning in today's episode, the 30th of May, our second episode for Series 6. We still have a few more episodes for the entire series. Watch out for many more Filipino talents that we'll be featuring in Pusong Pinoy with Malcolm Conlan. And it is definitely an honor to be joining digitally, virtually, live from the Philippines, Cebu, Philippines, and all other Filipinos across the globe, especially in the UK. So stay safe and thank you for tuning in today. Wear your mask, keep the distance, and always stay safe and have yourself vaccinated. Thank you. And that's it for me. My name is Joshua Dabatos, and it's an honor to be part of this show.
And I'm so grateful, Joshua, for your support for the show as well. I just wanted to say I'm really excited about next week. We have Miss Philippines UK, Keisha, who's going to be joining us as well, which I'm really pleased about, talking about her advocacies as well. We also have Mia Labrojo again on as well. She's going to be promoting her latest song. We also have some really fantastic guests in the episodes to come. So I'm really, really pleased about how the show is going. I'd like to thank once again my sponsors, World Rebit, Spoon and Rice, Comfort Healthcare. Until next week, and also Robbie, who helps us out with the tech as well. We've done this show, myself and Robbie, now for over 60 episodes, and it's awesome to still keep this going. And he's kind of behind there, kind of making it all happen, where you see camera changes and everything. I can't do any of that, and I'm very, very grateful to Robbie as well for his support. But until next week, everybody, maraming salamat po, mabuhay Pilipinas, and we'll see you again.
Bye, everyone.